To children, some of their most important relationships are their friendships. And a good friendship is a rare thing indeed. A child without a friend is vulnerable. I know it because I see it every day as I work as a teacher and researcher, engaging with school children aged 5 to 11 years old. As I look out of the window of my classroom and into the playground, I see two boys. They are about 6 or 7 years old. Through the glass, I see one reaching for the other's toy. Are they friends or are they strangers? I wondered. It turns out the answer, friends or strangers, changes everything, you see. When a friend takes your toy, it's sharing. When a stranger takes your toy, it's stealing. When a friend pushes you in the swing, it's fun. When a stranger pushes you in the swing, it's scary. When a friend corrects your mistake, it's helpful. When a stranger corrects a mistake, it's annoying. When a friend wants to play, it's welcome. When a stranger wants to play, it's not. Even though in each of these examples, the situation is exactly the same, the outcome is massively different. The child who has a friend has a great time. The child who does not have a friend is vulnerable. And that vulnerability really shows itself in the playground. It's wild out there. The playground is the place where anything can happen, and it often does. Where else could you find the most creative made-up games being played, like extreme crashes, toilet tag, cucumber alarm, and the all-time classic skibbity skipping? I'm constantly surprised by the sheer inventiveness, madness, and creative chaos that can be caused by hundreds of hyped-up school children unleashed upon the playground twice a day. Watching them play allows me, as a teacher, the chance to put on my researcher hat and count the one unfortunate metric that really matters: how many tears per playtime. I wanted to discover why some children simply struggle in the playground, why they didn't quite fit in. Was there some hidden secret, or was the truth simply, as one little boy once told me, that the difference between a friend and a stranger is that the stranger has a more punchable face? To be clear, I don't ever want any child to have a punchable face. I have to solve this problem. I must. I started by observing the children and their relationships in the playground. Some relationships seem stable. Some seem to change day by day, moment by moment. The playground can be a fun place of exciting games with friends, but at its worst, it can be a place of scraped knees, bumped shoulders, and hurt feelings. But I observed one situation that is the worst of the worst. And I'm afraid we all know it all too well. Worse than the feeling of scraped knees, worse than lost footballs, worse than the missing lunchbox, the hole in your new shorts, or even the dreaded tooth knocked out on the climbing frame. The worst feeling in the playground is the feeling of being alone. I once saw a boy walking alone. He walked the entire playground and walked back. He watched the other children playing around him, but he kept on walking. Watching him puzzled and asked, "Would you like to join someone and play?" "Oh, they won't let me," he answered. It turns out when you ask others to join and all you get is, "This game is only for 2 people, sorry. We already have enough players, thank you. Maybe next time." When you keep on getting excuses, one day you stop asking. But as you all know, there's more than just the lonely kids. On the other side of the playground, we find the friendly ones. They get along with everyone. They are great at articulating their thoughts. They listen They take turns and they build on other people's ideas. Their social skills are beyond great. When somebody says, let's play superheroes, you won't hear them saying, oh, but I wanted to play family. Instead, they'll say, yes, you can be Superman, I'll be Superman's mom. Never by themselves, the other children gravitate towards them. They're the social butterflies of the playground. Next, still learning the right balance of social skills, we have the bossy ones. They are good at generating ideas and they are loud. They believe so much in themselves that it can be hard for them to listen to what others have to say. Over time, they learn that no matter how good their idea is, not making any concessions will make them the captain of a one-man ship. Or worse, they might end up with a job in middle management. And right next to the bosses, we have the followers. Followers are amazing, loyal supporters. They listen, they make things happen, they get stuff done. They have good ideas and good initiative. Perhaps they haven't found the power within themselves yet, but they are happy to follow other children's lead. These definitions, the friendlies, the loners, the bosses, the followers, I don't like to label children because labels stick. I prefer to think of these definitions as roles. And roles can change as the circumstances change and the people around you change. When your best friend gets sick, when you are the new kid in school, when arguments and misunderstandings happen and the group disbands, it turns out that almost everyone can become an unwilling loner from time to time. Maybe you remember feeling alone in the playground. Or maybe you feel alone now. It is true to say that some of us never really grow up. We're all big kids after all. And what I see in the playground, you might see in your professional life, in your extended family, in your business, in your boardroom. I'm sure you've met your fair share of friendlies and loners, bosses and followers, not just in the playground, but in life. Look around you. Friendly, lonely, bossy, follower. If it sounds like I might be talking about you, you're right. But what's wrong with being a loner? I once had a girl in my class who liked spending most of her time alone. She would play alongside other children, but should not play with other children. This girl had the most wonderful imagination. Not everybody could follow her elaborate ideas and keep up with her creativity. And if you were to ask me, was she sad being all alone? Well, if you ever met anyone with a big imagination, you would know that the answer to this question is no, she was not sad. In fact, she was happy for most of the time, but all the other children around her were strangers. When we think of these children, we may think it would be kind to say, oh, just let them be. Let them read in the library. They're not hurting anybody. It's fine. But what's really happening is that they're not building up their social network. And just like the kid who doesn't learn maths will never be able to know if they've done their taxes correctly, the kid who doesn't learn how to make friends might never know there's a healthy and an unhealthy way to build relationships. And that makes them vulnerable. I once saw a lonely little boy so desperate to get attention from his playmates that he would do anything. The other children were playing football, and his first attempt to join was asking not to play football, but to be the football. He was so desperate for playmates that he curled up on the ground and asked to be kicked. This little boy wasn't being bullied, at least not yet. For him, this was a play interaction, albeit a harmful one. He didn't have many friends as a reference point, but he had plenty of ideas about strangers. It may sound shocking, but we all do it, even as adults. How many times have you put yourself in a vulnerable position just to be liked? Who has started on a new job and worked extra hard for abusively long hours just to win the attention of the boss? How many times have you taken teasing and joking from your family to the point of it being almost abusive, but you kept on going back for more because you didn't want to miss out on the relationship? How many times do we remain in abusive relationships with partners bossing us around and stay in them for the fear of being alone? What happens in the playground happens in life. And if it happens to you, it's not your fault. Asking to be kicked like a football is a heartbreaking story, but many children blur the lines between abuse and play because they're learning. However, if putting themselves at risk of abuse becomes a part of their interaction framework, then we have something to really worry about. Of course, this is all very upsetting because we think we should leave the loners alone because they're not hurting anybody, but they're hurting themselves. And just watching it is perhaps the worst thing we can do. Over time, the children with the least friends become the most vulnerable. Because without friendship, potential positive interactions become negative interactions. The longer you remain a loner, then everything you do is weird and lonely. And all the people around you are strangers. Every interaction that could be positive with a friend is negative with a stranger. If you are a loner, you don't need a million friends, but you need one or two. You need a couple of them to show you that things are actually okay. You just need some basics. Well, you need the basics of finding a good friend. As a child gains the skills to grow their social network, their vulnerability decreases. In simple terms, as friendship goes up, vulnerability goes down. Sometimes we all need a good friend to get us out of a bad situation. And that's the basics of being a friend. So, how might we solve this problem? Kids need to make friends, right? We all need to make friends. What can a teacher like me do? Can I teach friendship in the same way I might teach maths or science? I can't make children play together because unless they want to play, they won't. So I decided to make a game out of it. Every child loves collecting things. Maybe you remember what you loved collecting as a child. Stickers, cards, marbles, seashells. What would happen if the children could collect friends? Perhaps I could turn every child in my class into some sort of collectible, and that way no one would get left out. Because you know what they say about card games, right? You gotta catch them all. Every child in my class gets a unique deck of collectible playground cards. But instead of having their favorite Japanese cartoon monster printed on them, they see a photo of themselves front and center, along with their play interests and their name printed on top. I have 20 children in my class, so Anna gets 20 Anna cards, Bobby gets 20 Bobby cards, Freddy gets 20 Freddy cards. You get the idea. The goal is to trade one card each break time, but you can only trade if you play together in the playground. The slogan being, if you played, you trade. No child is forced to trade, so if they don't think they had a positive play interaction, they can decide not to trade cards that day. A simple idea where everyone gets the choice of playmate while we encourage positive interactions and new friendships. The more cards you collect, the stronger you become. The ultimate goal is to get rid of all of your cards and in return complete the set, receiving one card from each classmate after playing with them. It's a simple game, but it's also an invitation to friendship. As the days go by, each child can choose. New card, no card, keep their card. Any choice is welcome. But each card communicates, I have something to offer. It's an intervention, an invitation, and a positive interaction. It helps the group to break out of unhealthy cycles and strengthen their play networks. By encouraging the children to play with more people, I'm offering them opportunities to try out new roles. The bosses can grow. The followers can find the power in their own ideas. The friendlies can discover the people who had been hiding in their shell and perhaps find a new best friend or two. And the loners? Well, they don't magically become social butterflies, but having consistent invitations to play helps them to say yes at least sometimes. But you know what else happens? The loners, the ones who didn't want to play, the ones who kept their card close to their chest, as each day went by, their card became rarer and rarer. The friendly kids are trading cards right, left, and center, but the lonely kids' cards, they were exclusive. They were hard to get. Over time, the children with the least friends became the ones whose cards were the most desirable. It turns out they are no longer loners. They are rare. So today, my idea worth spreading and my message to all of you is, if you know somebody who feels more comfortable in their own company, don't just leave them alone. They might not say yes to your first or second or third invitation, but keep asking. They might turn out to be a rare friend. And if you are that person, I want you to promise me you always remember this one thing. You're not a loner. You're rare. Thank you.